and um, and so I got to be, I'm helping people with their social media as well, not on the same level as Deb. I'm just kind of giving advice here and there, but I do get a lot of questions. I know Deb gets a lot of questions. So what I want to do is I'll start going through some of the questions that I get, but if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. We'd love to handle them. This is kind of like an AMA about social media. So I'm going to start, Deb, if that's okay, unless you want to add anything in there.
Yes, I'm just going to add that, Adam is really downplaying his former marketing and still current marketing skills. You have two geniuses on the line as we speak. So I would just encourage everybody, play all in. Like, we don't usually have such a informal kind of live Q&A. We'd really like to see some of your questions in chat. Again, if you've ever had a particular marketing or even social media question that you've just wanted to be able to get answered, now is your time. So be selfish with your time. There are no dumb questions unless it's Jeremy Baxter who asks who's on the line now. I'm just kidding, Jeremy, just giving you a hard time. But, so why don't you go ahead and shoot, Adam?
Okay. So the number one question that I get asked a lot, and it's a very simple question, but I think we can dig a little bit deeper into it, is how often should someone be posting right now?
Well, so I'm going to say every day. And there's kind of, there's different strategies per platform and per feed. So if we were going to say Instagram, you have the story feed, you have the regular home feed, you have the explore feed, and then you also have the reels feed. So that's a lot of different feeds that I just mentioned, and each one has different algorithms, by the way. So if you've ever been frustrated with the algorithms, which I can raise my hand and say just this year, between all the different updates that just even Instagram has gone through, it's been a lot. So let's just start with the story feed. The story feed is kind of more of the behind the scenes of the day in the life of you doing, what you do, which can be a mixture of personal and business. I typically say to have at least 4 or 5 story posts throughout the day, which can seem like a lot, but guys, it can be as simple as, in the morning, you take a picture of your coffee, and it could have one of those poll questions, which I usually like the one in the morning to be more of an engagement type post, but you could say, like, what color is your coffee in the morning? Or, are you a coffee drinker in the morning, or are you a coffee drinker in the afternoon? Something to kind of gets the engagement going. And then you space them out. So you don't want to ever do just a story dump where you bombard, your story feed. But with the Win by Noon planner, just from a starting out standpoint, I would go for a 2-story post a day. So 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. I personally, if you're trying to grow, like, this is the season where people have more time on their hands. So whether you're a real estate agent on the call or even a loan officer, we all have time to do at least 1 reel a day, which, by the way, when you shoot a reel is just a short form vertical video content that you can do with your phone. You want to share the reel to your story to help with the views. So know that that counts as a story post when you do that. And the biggest difference between the two is, in case you didn't know, the stories, they last for 24 hours and then they disappear unless you add them to your highlights section. But the stories typically go to people who are already following you versus the reels, which will go to more people who aren't already following you. So there's 2 different strategies there. And then, I would do at least 1 graphic post that is more it should be like a shareable or savable piece of content. It's more for the, visual learners, that not everyone's going to want to watch a video, guys. And I know video is the best way to get the most exposure and reach, but sometimes people don't want to see just a talking head all the time, or that's not going to be content that they may always share. But, we did one where we did a seller concession cheat sheet where we outlined from the different loan types and loan to values what was the max seller contribution, which is very helpful for real estate agents and loan officers. And that is a shareable or savable piece of content that is great for you to leverage, whether if you're the loan officer and you have agents sharing that piece of content out, it's the whole mindset is creating content that others will benefit from. So at least once a day. Long story short.
Can Can I add one thing to that? So
Yes.
when you are doing your stories, because you're right, sometimes you don't necessarily always going to be in the right place, the right time to post a story. So what you can always do too is when you do record a story and you're like, man, I got like 3 things that I want to put up right now. You can record the stories on your phone and save them through the Instagram. So it'll be filmed through Instagram, but you can save it and post it later. I do that all the time because I'm like, I know that I can knock out 3 videos right here. I'm going to record it all in Instagram and I'm going to save it so it's formatted, everything's right for Instagram. And then next is when you are doing, I feel like the stories can be a little bit more personal and show a little bit more of your personality and not so much, super produce or anything like that, because they are only lasting 24 hours. So if you want to show off a little bit more of your personality, it's not going to be on the web forever. It's only going to be there for 24 hours. So show that, but also make sure to tag a lot of people. And what I like to do when I do that is not necessarily always posting, putting their name in there. I kind of type it in as a text, change the color of it and make it really small and hide it in so nobody has to see that I posted them in there, but that way they know and then they can share that. But we do have some questions real quick if you want to get to those.
Yeah,
First
the
one from
only thing I was
Jeremy.
going to add to that is I think, and I'm conflicted myself, but there's creating content for algorithms, and then there's creating content for social proof in your branding, which the way that the algorithms run right now, like I used to tell clients, you need to add personal posts to your feed because people want to do business with people that they know, like, or trust, or when there's common values. The challenge that we're seeing now, and this has really been since August 1st, is the way that the algorithms have shifted is the machine learning and AI is literally reading your profile from your bio to your name tag to your description and your bio itself to just even the hooks on your videos to even listening to when you are speaking in the video, where now in order for your post to be seen as suggested pieces of content, it's scanning your profile to see who is your target audience. And so with that, like if you look at my personal Instagram, it is like a hot mess express where I have some personal development post, I have me being a mom, I have some marketing stuff. And so it's not super clear to the algorithm of who would most likely benefit from my post. However, it's still important to me to have my own personal brand so that people know who I am to determine whether or not they'd be a good fit for my business or not, because I can accept and I understand that not everyone's going to want to do business with me, just like I'm not going to want to do business with everybody else either, which is why I have a business account that's just the plug and play SM, where you'll see I don't really put as much, hardly any personal stuff on there, largely because I'm just wanting that account to really play to my target audience. So to that point is why I would even include as much of your personal posting that you want on the story feed, since it does only last for 24 hours, but also knowing, what is your true purpose with the account? Is it for the immediate social proof that most likely your business is going to come from a referral from either a mom or a dad or past client, where the moment someone is searching your name, they're looking for that social proof of, do I like this person? Can I trust them? Are they competent? Or are you trying to use this account to go after like brand new people where you may be running ads where it would be more important to you to tailor the feed so that at least from just the news feed section, you have less personal posts. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer.
I love that. Jeremy has the question, what's the best way to get recorded videos from Social Studio to Instagram when not recorded directly to Instagram? So I've never used Social Studio. You probably have, so you'll be able to answer that question.
Well, I was going to say with our own scheduling tool, Jeremy, which you have access to, because you can take that one piece of vertical content that you record. And I would recommend doing this even if you're not on all platforms, but you really need to be everywhere every day as much as possible. So you could use our tool where you just literally drag and drop, the video, and it will go on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. Like it'll go to all the places where it can. So there's some limitations like Google My Business, it can't be longer than 30 seconds. So obviously if it doesn't fit based off the link, then it won't go out. But I would not individually do it. And a lot of the other scheduling tools, the most annoying part is they don't all work with all platforms. So, for just $99 a month, you can get the scheduling tool from us.
So the next question is a difficult one from John. It says, best recommendations for positioning these posts for marketing approval. I couldn't get the seller concession post approved by my company's marketing department. Eye roll. I think everybody has a little bit of an eye roll when it comes to compliance. I know I did, and hopefully Ken Perry isn't watching this with Knowledge Group because he's going to get mad at me. But so what I would say for that, on that side of it is there some way where you can format it to where you're not really promoting the seller concession post as much as you're saying, hey, I have this option, DM me if you want more information, and that way you can start that conversation. That's how I would handle that. Deb, I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
So I think that's a great tip, and I didn't even think of that myself. So I'm going to save it and make sure I refer my clients to that very piece of advice that you just gave. So thank you. The other thing is I'm curious on, I think you said John had asked the question, what was their feedback of how it was out of compliance? Because, and I don't know, do you work for a bank where maybe you're also monitored by the FDIC? And so that was the issue, but I would also press upon the people in charge of marketing. And guys, look, I get it. I used to be the CMO of a mortgage company, and it was a nightmare from a marketing standpoint of not all loan officers are created equally. So you do have to have some policies put in place, because you do have some loan officers that will go out there and they will make these bold claims on video or on social. And so unfortunately, you have to get some idiot-proof policies that could be outdated. And I'm having a lot of those conversations now with other mortgage CMOs of which policies are outdated that you need to maybe review because you've just always done what you've always done, when obviously there's a huge shift in where marketing has been taken. So I'd love to know a little bit more of what was their issue? How was it out of compliance? What disclaimer did they recommend being added to it to then make it fit? But if it's an absolute no-go, then yeah, I think what Adam said is a great tip of just telling people to contact you. But it's such a shame because that post really took off. I had a lot of people copy, like they screenshot our work. Sometimes this one was from Denise's post and they cropped out her logo, or they tried to put their logo on top. I'm like, just ask us, we'll be happy to make it for you. But it got a lot of good traction and feedback, as agents really liked that cheat sheet, which is super helpful. Like, even if it's a non-owner occupied, a lot of people forget the max seller concession. And, Scott Nicholson was one that he was like, I goofed, I messed up. We did the seller buy down and we were out of compliance. So it's helpful for even loan officers to have.
So yeah, so he's saying they took the post and they tried to put the company logo on it. And then of course the marketing department gets in the way, which I understand. And what I can say is that usually the static posts and those things are harder to get approved. Then I would just jump on a video and talk about it, and what you're saying there. So just talk about it, and then DM me for more details. That's what I would say, and then we can have that conversation off of the public forum and more intimate.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I would really be curious on their feedback on what made it out of compliance, because I've had a lot of different lenders, both correspondent, bank, broker, who have requested. Now, I think probably most people just ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Well, John,
not that I'm encouraging that.
Adam at WinByNoon.com if you want, and I'm sure you can give your email too, Deb, if you want, but we'd love to hear the feedback on that. And if there's anything we can do to help out, we're here for you.
Yeah, and you can email me at marketing@plugandplaysm.com. Make sure you spell out the and, so it's plug and play.
Here, I'll plug.
Oh, I see John's comment now. Oh, it's such a bummer. Yeah, that's a great tool.
Perfect. Awesome. Emails in the chat. Perfect. Okay, so we don't have any more questions right now in the chat. So if you do, please add some questions in. We're here for you guys for the next 10 or so, 15 minutes. I mean, I'm free if Deb's free, but I just want to make sure we're taking advantage of your guys' time. But okay, so the next question we kind of talked about, like, what should we post? And we kind of talked about that a little bit, but which platform should I focus on? And that's one of the big questions I get, but also kind of when we are focusing on that platform, how should we be handling it, and what should our audience be in that sense, if that makes sense? Deb, is that
Yeah.
a understandable way of putting it?
Well, so what was really interesting is I had gone to a marketing conference where Gary Vee was the speaker. And in case you guys don't know, Gary Vee's sister is a real estate agent as well. And so we had asked him this very question of if you were going to focus your time and energy on the top 3 platforms. Now, he also says you need to post everywhere, every day, because what you don't know is like Meta could be down, or your account could get hacked, or TikTok gets removed. And you never know when your ideal audience are at certain places. And so we don't own our social media channels. So you need to be everywhere all the time, just in case one gets removed. But he said he recommends loan officers and real estate agents focusing on YouTube. He's like, YouTube, create one piece. In fact, I think he calls it the 87 touches or 69 touches. I don't remember what exactly he calls it, but you can create 1 hour's worth of content that then can be, shortened into micro pieces where you can also add it to YouTube Shorts. And the reason why he was so adamant about YouTube is because Google owns YouTube. And that's where most people are starting their search, where we're such learners, and especially the younger demographics, before they ever go to start the home buying process or even the mortgage process, they're so concerned about being taken advantage of, and they don't know this stuff. It's not like we're taught in school. So they go to Google and YouTube for, like, how do I qualify for a home if I'm a nurse? Or how do I qualify for a mortgage if I have extra shifts and I'm a fireman, or I've been in school? So you need to be on YouTube just from the search aspect. But he also said tied for second was Instagram and TikTok, which he said if I had to choose between the two, I would choose TikTok, because in case you guys didn't know this either, a couple weeks ago, TikTok passed Google as the most visited website just 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2.5 weeks ago. And so TikTok is also being used quite a bit for social search, where we're seeing more of the long tail search features of, like, how do I qualify for this? And, where to start the home buying process. Now, a disclaimer here, as much as TikTok is still more of an escape activity app, so the intention when someone approaches YouTube is more to learn. Whereas to me, the intention when someone goes to TikTok, it could be to learn, but it's also probably more so to escape, which is where you see some more of the dancing and the trends. It's when people are, at a red light, or they're bored at a baseball game. And so they go to escape a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you should be projecting your business in that way. Again, it goes back to, how do you want to be perceived, knowing that your social channels they're basically like an online transparency of your resume. And there's a fine line between giving some insight of your culture and personality, as long as it's most authentic and true to you. So if you're not typically, comical, or you don't like doing the trends or even the sounds, then don't do it. Like, you can still have captivating content that's short and to the point that can exist on TikTok. It just needs to be on point with your brand and what you want to be remembered as. So, and then the last one, which surprised me the most, is he said your business Facebook page. He calls it a fan page. He thinks they're really coming back, leveraging, Facebook groups and building a communities, where he sees Facebook as the best because it's more of a distribution channel. It's not a creator channel like we're seeing Instagram and TikTok be more of. So I was kind of shocked that the third one he said was your business Facebook page.
I will say, so that's perfect. And I love the YouTube and the TikTok, because TikTok needs to be more like edutainment, right? Like, it needs to be more entertainment, purpose-driven education. But they're quick videos, right? So, like, people are scrolling. So you got to have a real good hook, where I feel like YouTube, you can kind of dive deeper into these topics. And so what I would say is start by writing down the top 10 questions you get from your clients on mortgages, right? So, like, what's the difference between FHA and conventional? As simple as that, and do a 3-minute video or a 2-minute video that you can put on your YouTube channel. So when people search, what the difference is, because new home buyers are going to be asking those questions. So they'll come to your video. They'll get some education on that. With a TikTok, you got to come with a catchy hook, and that's the only thing, that you got to come with a catchy hook and then be able to explain it super fast in kind of an entertaining way with a fun background or something like that.
The other thing I just thought of when you were saying that is the other thing I really like about YouTube over the other ones. And granted, I still think you should be on all, but YouTube is more like evergreen content, whereas, Instagram, TikTok, it can get lost in the feed. Like you could post it and then the next day it could be hard to find, or someone would have to scroll quite a bit and it could be a really good video. So that's the other thing that I really like about YouTube is you can, create different playlists, which you can technically do as well, on TikTok, which, TikTok's biggest competitor is YouTube, whereas Facebook and Instagram, they're competing with TikTok because they've lost so many people to that platform. I think understanding the bigger why behind that matters because context is always important. But when people go to YouTube, again, the whole mindset and approach is more to learn. And so sometimes they're there with the intent for longer periods of time. They typically have their audio on. We've seen an increase in the number of people who are even just accessing YouTube via their TV, not just smartphone. So it's kind of crazy to think that it's going there, but it's going there.
Well, it's crazy too, because I'm not a big, it's kind of weird because I'm not in my demographic that I'm usually marketing to, but that all my friends, they're like, oh, we were just talking this weekend about knives. And my buddy knew all about knives. And I'm like, when did you become such like a knife guy? And he's like, oh, I watched all these videos on YouTube. And then before that, it was my friend had a baby. And he's like, oh, I watched this video on YouTube about how to hold the baby. Like he's like, when I sit at home, I'm not watching TV. I'm just watching YouTube videos. And so he's always worried about learning. So I feel like if we can create that content for those people who are out there just wanting to learn, that's where you're going to get your business. I also feel like, and I'll stress this among all of the social profiles, that people aren't going to see a post and then be like, oh, I need to buy a home or I need to get a loan right now. I'm going to click. What they're going to do is they're going to think about it, and they're going to say who was top of mind or who taught me the most about this subject or whatever that is. And that's who they're going to choose to do business with. And so that's why I think our posts need to be more educational and not so salesy, and just be as abundant as possible with your message and share that and become I'm babbling a little bit, but I want you to just project all the information that you have. And then when somebody decides that they're going to purchase a home, they'll know that you're the one to call because you've taught them the most about that.
Well, and I couldn't agree more. The moment it feels like it's marketing, you have failed, or the moment it feels salesy. So if the whole thought process with every post, like if you had to go through a mental checklist, is how is this going to be beneficial to the audience that I'm trying to attract? Like, what are their pain points? And, to your point, Adam, I tell all of my clients, whether it's before, during, or after the loan process or the transaction, you should have a notepad, or it can even be the notes section of your phone where you're just jotting down all those frequently asked questions. And then every Monday, when it's your video recording day, you already have the hooks for all of your videos, because it's not what you think is valuable. It's actually what's valuable to the community you serve, because you're simply being a better listener and keeping track of the questions. And sometimes these questions could then be YouTube videos that go unlisted, where the link is unlisted. So only people who have the link can actually see the video. And now you've created this non-paid employee that's working for you, because you can embed them throughout like the home buying process with your CRM, where it will say, because you've always had those off days when you don't feel well and you're trying to explain to someone what it means to be conditionally approved, and you may leave out some important items. But if you created a generic video through each phase of what it means when you have an executed contract, when your file goes to processing, when it gets conditionally approved, when it gets clear to close, when docs go to title, and it could just be a video of you that perfectly explains, here's what to expect next. It will eliminate the number of phone calls and questions you get in return. And it also helps with just your brand and service standards where you don't ever have to worry about diluting your standards as you grow or training that person to take your place because your CRM and technology is basically doing it for you. So it's just being proactive, and there's ways to leverage video, YouTube specifically for that.
I love that. And so right now we're talking about, where we should post all that. And people are like, well, what should we post? Right. And I think we just gave like 2 really solid ideas of where to start right now. Is start with your FAQs from your clients, and then start with the home buying process, right? Work that down, knock that down as much as you can, and do little 1 to 2 minute videos on it. There's 2 good places to start. The other question I always get to is, what should we post? And then I always tell them when I talk to them to go see Deb, and she gives you a content calendar. But I feel like breaking it down into a content calendar, if you don't have a content calendar for your content, even on a weekly basis, and I'm talking about making it as simple as possible, of coming up with almost like theme days of what should be not necessarily the topic, but what should be the theme for that day. And Deb has a great one. So I'm not going to give that away. You'll have to reach out to Deb. Again, marketing@plugandplaysm.com. But getting that like content calendar set up, and Deb does a really good job. She emails you every Friday of what you need to be posting the next week, right? And so you can work on that, get that all scheduled, and you could probably knock that out on a Monday morning. And so that is one thing. Talk a little bit about that, Deb.
Well, so just like a really quick sneak behind the curtain look, this is my October. I always do a 30,000 foot above view because it is really important to have a content strategy. That way you're hitting on all the different pillars of the business, and you never get caught in the same position where maybe you're too refinance heavy or purchase heavy, or maybe you've forgotten about your clients who are already doing business with you. So like showcasing annual asset reviews are important. But I always start with at least one value series that's a theme for the whole month. So for this month of October, the video value series was life events, because we know anyone who's buying and selling, especially right now, it's usually driven by, marriage, death, divorce, birth. So you'll see that on my rotation of my content calendar, like today's video was about expecting, like what to know when you're expecting a new baby. And for those of you, I had posted this on the Modern Mortgage Summit Instagram account or Facebook account, so you guys can make sure you're following that account. But the expected new births over the next 12 months, they're calling it the millennial baby boom, is higher than it's ever been. So imagine most people aren't marketing to OBGYNs, but for those of you who have ever had a kid before, you get the little oh shit bag that says, congratulations, you're expecting, here's like your nipple cream and like all this stuff that you're like freaking out. What if you had information in there with a lady with a pregnant belly that says, I heard you could use more space, and you have a whole campaign targeting, maybe it's pediatricians, OBGYNs, even teaching classes at hospitals where you could have a home safety inspector, come and talk about all things about baby proofing the home and why it's so important to maybe qualify for the home before you have the baby. Because if you're going on maternity leave, what that looks like as far as paperwork with qualifying, just in case you don't ever come back from maternity leave, so that would be a very educational video that, clients who work with me, that's one that they're posting today. And they're mainly targeting on the whole, should you buy before or after you have the baby? And what most people don't think about is the qualifying of income. Tuesday, I always call it TCA Tuesday. You don't have to be using Mortgage Coach to do TCA. So TCA is a total cost analysis. But I like Tuesdays to be more of a strategy type post, of almost like a pattern interrupt, to get people to think about money differently and how you think outside the box. And that could be as simple as, instead of putting 20% down on a home, what if you only put 5% and you invested the rest and you let it compound over time? Like, would you rather spend $54,000 in addition for closing cost, or make a potential 200,000 plus over X amount of year, whatever those numbers were? But I really like Tuesdays to be more financial strategy when it comes to structuring a mortgage based off different people's needs, because I think that will position you as more valuable than, robot lenders. Wednesdays, I'm a big fan of host your own show days, very similar to this, where you could have a guest interview. Like for my clients, I told them they should do a pediatrician and talk about just the safety of candy with trick or treating and Halloween. So it'd be a great time to showcase somebody else, and it could be someone in your database right now. It could be a client of yours who was a pediatrician, and it's like, hey, every Wednesday at noon, I go live. It's just an informal Q&A to really give you platform to kind of share what you do and why you do it. And guys, you don't have to be the expert. You let them be the expert, and that's great for
Oh,
micro content, but it's also leveraged trust because now you can have them send that recording out to their entire database. You can create a graphic that both of y'all post that you guys are tagged. And so that's just leveraging the authority and trust of others to get in front of new audiences.
love that.
Thursdays, I always say, are client stories, and then like success stories, almost like testimonials, but really sharing, help this new family. They originally came to me with a 680 credit score. Here's how I showed them just tweak a few things on their credit where within a few weeks we were able to get them above a 700 and better tiered pricing, which is going to save them, thousands on their mortgage, whatever. And then Fridays are more, either financial literacy, finance Fridays, or behind the scenes team culture, you know, how you guys operate. So that's just like a quick snapshot of how you can theme the days where you can be super intentional and focused. And then obviously you build a month calendar around that.
No, that's perfect. She broke it down and made it super easy to post. And we did that too with Todd's team before we even did like What's Up Wednesdays, where we talked about all the cool events happening in the community that were coming up. We made the cool reels and all that stuff about it. We tagged all of those events. We got so much play off of all of those events, just sharing our video to all of their people. So, and then again, with the show that you do, the host of what free webinar on Wednesdays, again, what business owner in your community is going to say no to that, right? Walk into your favorite restaurant, ask for the owner, and just, say, hey, I want to have you on my show. Nobody's going to say no to that. So don't be afraid to ask that question.
And I almost think people forget, like, mortgage and real estate are so far advanced when it comes to marketing and technology that like people get giddy. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on a show. Like they're going to tell their friends and family, they're going to tell their database, log on live, ask us questions because it's a big deal. And guys, you can do all this via Zoom. I mean, grandma is on Zoom nowadays, so you guys can do it too. It's just now that this has been communicated to you, you'll find that you have a new awareness where you'll go to have dinner or you'll go to some venue and you'll now be thinking, oh, I wonder if I should ask them to be on my show. Like anything that could provide value to your community. Maybe it's haunted houses in the area. Maybe it's having a competition of like different neighborhoods with decorations or Halloween costume competition. You'll just be more aware of who could I get on the show that would add value to them. And it's actually fun doing it because it helps mix up the day from just what's your date of birth, what's your social security number, so.
And there's also one other benefit to it, and nobody thinks about this, but the benefit is the next time you go into that restaurant, you're going to be treated like a VIP because you had them on your show. Now, even better, the next time you bring a real estate agent into that restaurant for lunch, how cool is it when the owner comes over to you and talks to you and sees how you're doing? Like you look like a freaking rock star to the agent that you're trying to impress. So like just another little fold in the marketing there that goes beyond just that one video clip is now you built that relationship. And now you can bring in past clients to dinner to celebrate a dinner or whatever that is, or anything like that. You're looking like a superstar to your clients and to your real estate agents.
To me, there's no other way to get more traction with organic growth of getting people to follow you other than by leveraging others. And you just feel good doing it. Like it's almost like doing mortgages with a purpose now, because you'll start, even when you're taking loan applications, you'll start to realize like, oh, this guy's a neurologist or this girl works for this school. I wonder if, I could interview them on X, Y, and Z. And so you just get to learn and have deeper conversations with people. That's why I love doing these webinars. When you guys show up each week and ask us different questions, I learn from you guys just as much as you learn from me.
I even go as far, and I've had a few people experiment with this idea and they love it, but when they're showing a house and they're getting photos taken, I have them go around to local businesses and say, hey, can I have one of your bags? I just want to feature it in the photo when I'm taking the house. Like there's a cool store in Central Phoenix called Manor. Iconic orange bag. Everybody knows it. You put that in like somebody's bedroom with a box of shoes, like just that little pop. And then you're featuring the local businesses in the listing photos. I think that's just another way to build that relationship with the community.
Dude, that's an awesome tip. That's good. I love it.
Is there anything we missed? John, I love that you're plugging the social media Win by Noon planner. Email me, Adam at Win by Noon. I'll get you on the list for Q1. And so that's all I'm going to say about that. Just email me. We'll make sure we get you on the list there.
Well, it's so funny because we had John Downs, who, when he first became a client, he was like, gosh, the way that your content calendar is very similar to Win by Noon with the theme days. And I'm like, yeah, that's because Win by Noon, back when I originated, it gave me such clarity and focus that I really operate almost everything I do with themed days. That way I don't just show up. It can be very overwhelming to think, how do I post this? Where should I post it? Oh, people say I have to be everywhere every day. And, you can beat yourself up mentally almost about, I didn't get my post out, or I only posted it here. And, so it can be a lot. And so we try to make it as easy and simple, but effective, so that you do touch every spigot of the business, including past clients, current clients, etc.
And so to what you're saying, we have the ideal week, which is Win by Noon's secret sauce, and we can go into that all the time. But Win by Noon Social Media Edition is something we kind of partnered up with Deb on. And so we only make a limited amount of them. So if you want to switch over, you'd have to switch over for Q1. And then we can mail that out to you. We're only getting a limited amount. So it's kind of first come, first serve. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it right now, but since you guys are all here, we can talk about it. And so it has the ideal week. Obviously, you want to work for your loan side, but it also has kind of an ideal week for the social aspect of it. And so every day it kind of has what you need to do on the social media side. And so it's a really cool plan. It kind of helps keep track of your posts, your likes, your comments, everything like that. So if you're posting in the comments, I love that. But for me, because the way I am, I need you guys to email me. So just email me at Adam at Win by Noon and say you'd like to. I'll add you to the list. And then if you're too late, then I will have to say sorry next quarter for sure.
Yeah. And, I'll just show, here's like a quick, you probably can't really see it,
there
but
you go.
It includes things like, so it has the theme days that I had talked about for social media, but then also has the check marks for, how many comments, how many proactive comments are you creating on other accounts? And basically just, it helps outline what other activities you should do for prospecting and how to use social media as a tool instead of allowing social media to use you. So even if you're not a poster, like there are some people that I'm like, video is just not your thing right now. It could be, but maybe you're more of a writer, or you're more of a relationship person, or this is what a lot of people hire us to do, where we will do the relationship nurturing for them or the posting for them. So, by all means, if you need extra support on that, we can help. But if you comment and like and do what you want others to do for you, you'd be amazed at the feedback that you get, especially the story commenting, which goes into the DMs. And again, it could be something that someone posts like at a restaurant with Adam, and, you just say, oh, that looks great. Or what did you order? And you start conversation. So to me, the more connections you have and the more posts that you're making that's creating curiosity, then you'll get more conversations, and the more conversations you have, the more conversion that it leads to. But there's other tips and tactics with like, how is your bio being optimized for conversion? Are you using things like Linktree, where people can be added to an email list or can easily contact you? Because that is the one limitation with Instagram, is you can't have multiple links. As of now, you can have two. You can have your Facebook link and like a Linktree account, which is free. Or if you haven't heard of Linktree, you can set it up where they could schedule a buyer consultation with you. They could go to your website. They could look at reviews.
Or Jeff can set it up for you.
Right. Or we can set it up for you. It just makes it, people are just getting lazier and lazier, where they, even the thought of going to a website, having to navigate, like where is the apply now button going to be? Sometimes the more short, concise, simple you can make it, which is what Linktree does, it doesn't require much thought for them to get to where they want quicker. And I will say that is one way that TikTok has really changed the game of how people behaviorally consume content. We've just become more impatient. It was that bite-sized piece of content that was originally 15 seconds, where people just don't want to waste time going to a website trying to find certain buttons. They want the easy button in every way that they can. So Linktree is a great service to look at. Same thing with Calendly. I know we've talked about that before, but you can start to train people early on, guys, of how to contact you or when they can meet with you, just by having boundaries and having things like a Calendly link in place where they can schedule time based off your, optimal windows, because we're all doing the activities every day by noon. So we can all be winners by noon. But then it's, if they wanted to schedule a time, to visit because maybe they just got their initial disclosures, it's like training them early on. We are available for you, and we make it as easy for you to just click a link, pick a time that works best for you and your spouse. Like, that's training them early on to protect your time.
I love it. And I think we're good. Thank you guys for letting me fill in. Thank you, Deb. I feel like we could keep talking about this. So we might have to do round 2 of this soon. So hopefully soon, stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much. And I think, is there a sign off that Todd usually does for these that I need to do?
Just reminding everybody to please hit that bell notification on the Win by Noon YouTube channel. We are really trying to grow the subscribers on that channel. So if you would even send it out to real estate partners, other lenders that we'd really like to grow that account by the end of the year. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Later.